Hello, everyone. Welcome to an early stream today here. No Survivor tonight, but there's still some Survivor news because the Survivor 50 cast just officially dropped today. And I figured we'd do a quick little stream, quick little video to talk about it. Because just for some context here, I saw the sort of like the rumored cast list like a week or so ago. And my understanding is that the final cast list is essentially that cast list. But I do not recall exactly who was on it or any of that. So I have not looked like deeply at the confirmed cast list yet. Although I think I have a pretty good idea of most of the people who are on it, and it's causing quite a stir. Because like, it's hard to find anybody that's particularly pleased by this cast. So I figured let's run down the list of people on the cast and sort of give some thoughts on who's on it. I did okay. And did anybody score the 50 draft? I didn't even. I guess maybe we could do that too. We could score the 50 draft. At least based on the 50 cast, it's going to be harder to do all the side bets with the other ones. All right. Miss Titan, thank you for the 60th month in a row. Brew with 15, ML8 with 5, Tara with 57, and Wiley with 34. Wilding with 10. Hornet, thank you for the 100 bits. Hornet with 57 months as well. Thank you. All right. Yes, one of the main things is that there were a lot of people in contention that were cut kind of in the final rounds, and ultimately we have a lot of new era. I don't think there's an issue with new era. However, what I've seen is that seemingly by new era they meant like the last 3 seasons and not the entire new era, meaning just that like 41 to 45 got like super shafted, or maybe 41 to 44, because they didn't have their own sort of returnee season in that time frame. Yeah, the thumbnail is going to be wrong on YouTube right now. What is it? Is it Goose Goose? There are a lot of high profile snubs that people are disappointed about. What should I do for the thumbnail? Actually, I don't think I have a. I could try to throw in a Survivor-ish one, but I'm not reacting to an episode. Yeah, I don't really have a good one for something like this, probably, but that's fine. We'll just change it to something generic after the fact. Cambodia had 9 players from the previous 3 seasons. Yeah, so I've seen that. I've seen that the discussion about like, well, isn't this normally the case that there's some recency bias for previous recent seasons? To which I think what I would say is there's 2 kind of arguments against that. Jesse, thank you for the 19th. Number 1 is that this wasn't just any returnee season. This has been hyped up as like the returnee season for a long time. You know, specifically, I think some of the messaging around the season was that it was going to be like a celebration of 50 seasons. It was going to be representative of the show across all seasons. I think Jeff specifically talked about like not wanting to make it all just all the new players. Like he specifically wanted to make sure there was representation from previous seasons. So I think there was an expectation that it would not be like this. And then I think the other argument against it, and this one I think is even more damning, is that they haven't had a returnee season in a while. This is, I think, I would assume the longest stretch of seasons without a returnee season in the history of the show. I think, don't shoot me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's true. And so, given that that's the case, it's sort of like, well, it makes sense that returnee seasons in the past have been pretty recent heavy, given that they're only covering a few seasons at a time, when you have a returnee season every 4 seasons, then stacking that returnee season with mostly players from the last 4 seasons makes a lot of sense. When you haven't had a returnee season in 10 seasons, it's like, really? And then I think on top of that, it doesn't help that that we're getting a lot of people from, the most recent season, which is probably the most panned season in the last like 5 years. 5 years? That's probably too much. In the last 10 seasons, has it been 5 years since Winners at War? It will be. It will be 5 seasons or 5 years. But basically, it's kind of like there's obvious reasons why this is, I think, a little bit different. But all that aside, Winners at War aired 5 years ago. Okay. Hold on. Let me just... Winners at War. 2019. Okay. We're just going to move on from that because that feels wild. Aired in 2020. That's a little better. So yeah, I mean, it will have been over 5 years since the last returnee season. And like 10 seasons. And so the idea that you have a large amount of people from the most recent couple of seasons, one of which you haven't seen at all yet, and one of which is the most panned season in the last 5 years, it's a little sketchy. Feels a little bad. But can you hear this? Can you hear this noise? It's quite loud. Give me a second. I'm reasonably certain that leaf blowers are probably the worst invention in the history of mankind. Like, I know we had that whole like Oppenheimer movie, but have we thought about the movie where we make it about the person that made the leaf blower? You know what I mean? Okay. Let's pull up. I have Mike Bloom's article on Parade with the cast. Let's run through it. Let's see what's going on here. Let me see if I can do this and then this. That's pretty decent. Am I in the way? I'm a little bit in the way. Do like a, what about like something like that? Make it bigger. And then also I'm slightly less in the way. Okay. So obviously some big three right here. Did I watch Final Destination? Not yet. No. Your city just banned them? Where are you living? Do I need to move there? You like the hair? It's my hair's I thank you. Thank you. It's at a point right now where it's like still not quite long enough to pull it back. And you can see that in the sides. The sides are not long enough to like actually be pulled back, so they just keep sticking out. So, you know, we'll see. I basically quick side note. I have a deadline. Basically, if my hair is not tolerable to me by the time Big Brother starts, I'm chopping it all off. That's the current plan. Anyway, okay. So this is the video. Should we watch the video? Or just run through the pictures? Is it interesting? Hold on. Okay, they are showing some images. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should we watch the video of Jeff reading the names, or should I go through the pictures? What are in the pictures? Some brief descriptions. The video is fun. Pictures. Both. Pictures first. Oh man, people are torn. I will look more friendly with longer hair. You know, I can't say I've ever been told that I don't look friendly. Actually, I think some people are scared of me sometimes. Just from I don't know, maybe being hard to read or something. But I like to be as friendly as possible to counter that. And I think I generally look pretty friendly, but maybe I don't know, maybe I'm not. All right, let's do video. I'm seeing more videos. All right. Let me make sure you can hear this.
I'm excited to announce.
Can you hear that? I think you can. Let me turn it up.
Who will be appearing in Survivor 50 in the hands of the fans. I'll read the names. From our very first season, 25 years ago, one of the original castaways, Jenna.
Jenna. I have no problem with this. I have no problem with Jenna. It'd be nice if this was in order, I will say. It'd be nice if I could just immediately go to the photo that he read. Does she still watch the show? I have no idea. I would say probably most of these people, I do not know what they're up to. I guess I could do a search. Here's Jenna. This is an old picture though. I want a new picture. If I wanted an old picture, I'd just look at the video. Jenna, obviously from Borneo. She came back for All Stars, I believe. Is there what more is there to say about Jenna? I mean, the thing is that the primary sort of season that you saw her on, her first season, was such a different season. I'm trying to remember. She just didn't make it very far. No, she did make it far, didn't she? In All Stars? Sorry, I saw the other Jenna in the wiki, and I was like, wait, she didn't make it far, but that's Jenna Maraska. Jenna Lewis did make it far. She made it to the final 3. So she's a player. She played the first season. She was, somebody who I would say was one of the slightly more strategic people of Survivor Borneo, and then was probably a bit too loyal to the structure of Rob and Amber, going to the final 3 with the 2 of them, fairly willingly as well, right? Yeah, I mean, they just, once they hit the merge, they just pagong the rest of the cast. And then the rest of their alliance, and then she gets voted out herself in the final 3. If she wins that final immunity, who knows? Maybe she wins. She's quite a bit older now, of course, than she was back when she played. Let's see. She was 26 when she played All Stars, and that was 2004. Do they have her age here? All right, Mike Bloom, what are we doing? We don't have age. We don't have current photo. You got to give me the info I need. Let me see here. No, this one doesn't either. Where's it? What's an article that has this stuff? Nope, this one doesn't either. No pet peeves. Does anyone have a good article for this? I can't find a single one that lists their ages. Jenna was on before pet peeves were invented. Here we go. I found one. She's 47. Yes, people are correct. 47. I mean, it's not even that old. All right, so that's Jenna. I think Jenna's a great pick here. Perfectly happy to have Jenna on Survivor 50. I think nobody's complaining about Jenna.
From season 2, Survivor's first All-American hero, Colby.
Survivor's first All-American hero. Do we need Colby back on our screens? I mean, I'm not mad at it. I'm not like excited to see Colby. I think that basically Colby played in Survivor Australia, or Australian Outback, I should say. Colby, as Jeff described, was the like all-American good old boy. He ends up taking Tina to the end rather than what was it, Keith or something, the person he could beat. He then loses to Tina. He comes back for All Stars, has a performance. Eventually comes back for Heroes versus Villains, and that was only what, like 6 years later at that point, which is wild, by the way. And he was kind of washed. He wasn't dominating the competitions like he was before. He was getting outclassed by some of the newer, fitter dudes. And he did not seem to have like the drive, which quite frankly, maybe he never did, right? Like, let's be real. But what's strange is that like, it's been much longer now. Colby is now 51 years old. And if he didn't have the drive, 15 years ago, does he have the drive now? Like, Jenna, I can see trying to mix it up in the new era. Colby feels archaic in terms of the way that he played the game before. And he showed no real adaptation when he played in Heroes versus Villains. So it's like, where does he slot into all of this? And yeah, in many ways, that could be interesting. I mean, a truly old school player in the game could be interesting. But so that's why I'm not like mad at it, right? He also is sort of an iconic figure in the history of the show. I think this is one of those spots I see people in the chat like, oh man, it should have been Jerry or whatever. I think those arguments are fine and valid. But for me, it's not like Colby is my first choice of person that I would choose to replace for another person like Jerry. I'd sooner take out like I'm sure we'll get there, but somebody from the new era. You know what I mean? Like Colby is not the person I'm like the most mad about on this cast. I think at the very least, especially on a 24-person cast, like I'm kind of interested to see what Colby's up to at 51 years old. Like, I'm not mad about that. All right.
From season 10, the only player to ever be on a tribe of one, Stephanie.
Okay, I'll get to the pictures here. Stephanie. I mean, again, it's pretty similar to Colby, honestly. She's kind of just like a person who was pretty iconic in the old days of Survivor. Originally on Palau. Basically, what he's referring to, Palau was the season where they did not have a tribe swap. And one tribe got literally decimated. They lost every single challenge, and it came down to her and Bobby John, and I think they like went to fire or something to see which one of them would survive. She survived and went solo into the following season. She then played on the season immediately following in Guatemala. She did very well there, but ultimately lost the jury vote. as the like one of the sole returning players. She then comes back for Heroes versus Villains, as many of the people back in the day did. And I would not say she had like a memorable sort of uh, experience, performance on Heroes versus Villains. She was not one of the people I would say was like the stars of that season. Um, I think she recently did like a snake in the grass, one of those shows recently. Um, something like that. Uh, oh yeah, she was on Traders, wasn't she? She was on Traders. Oh geez, she was on Traders. I remember this now. Man, that's a pretty damning. Oh, I did not remember that she was on Traders. Yeah. Uh, was she good? Because I didn't remember. it's I didn't even watch Snake in the Grass, and I remembered that more than I remembered her experience on the Traders. So but she hates Suri. Well, here's the thing. Suri was a trader on the Traders. She was on a season with Suri when Suri was a trader on the Traders. I think I remember her. Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, she was like, somebody who helped Suri win against her will. So this could be bad for Suri. Yeah, this could be bad for Suri. She got to final 6 in the Traders. Jeez, I watched that whole season. Yeah, okay. I mean, I think subconsciously there was a part of me that felt like I wasn't excited for Stephanie, and I think that's why. I think I watched her on the Traders and had an impression of her that was like, eh. But I didn't remember that that was where it came from. Uh, honestly, for me, Stephanie is one of those players that's like, sure, it's fine, but there are definitely other people, especially from around this era, that I'd be probably happier to see here. But if I hadn't seen the Traders, I'd have no issue at all with Stephanie. All right, let's see who's next from Jeff.
From season 12, she needs no introduction, returning for a record-tying 5th time, the beloved
Fifth
Suri.
time. Is that a record? Is she the only one to do 5 now? Or is she tying a record? Boston Rob did 5, right? Tied with Rob. Okay. And Aussie? Aussie's played 5 times. Cook Islands. Micronesia. South Pacific. He was on Game Changers? You're lying to me. I don't remember Aussie on Game Changers at all. Obviously, I remember that he was on the season now that you say that. I don't remember him, I don't remember. I remember him being announced for Game Changers. I don't remember seeing him on Game Changers. He made it so far. He made it like halfway through the season. Oof. Listen, Ozzy undeniably was electric in Cook Islands. Um, then he had a memorable blindside in Micronesia. He had a heel turn in South Pacific. But quite frankly, like, his Game Changers appearance should have been it, I think. I think that's it. Like, Ozzy on Game Changers was bringing back Colby for this season, and it didn't work out. We don't need Ozzy back. Right now, when you look at the list, Boston Rob, Suri Fields, and Ozzy as the other person that's come back for a fifth time, that doesn't feel right. It would have felt right, 15 years ago, but it doesn't feel right now. But we're not talking about Ozzy. We're talking about Suri. So obviously, there's been some talk about Suri. Like, have we seen enough? And my answer to that is no. I didn't check Stephanie's. This is the wrong one. Stephanie currently 45. Suri 54. Here's the thing about Suri. She still hasn't won Survivor. And neither has Ozzy. But Suri somehow manages to, every time she's on a season, be a central figure who creates a lot of entertainment and often comes close to winning. And she's never really even had the same experience twice. Like, she's gone out in weird ways, but she plays the game in whatever way suits her in the moment. She was phenomenally entertaining on Big Brother. She was great on The Traitors. This is not a scenario for me where, like, oh man, we're going to watch Boston Rob do the buddy system for the fifth time. And quite frankly, even Boston Rob is often entertaining whenever he's on a show. So I don't even think that's quite as damning a thing either. But Suri has never disappointed. That's the thing. It's like, I don't think it's about like, oh, you're going to bring back this person again. It's like, have you seen The Challenge? Like, this is a very normal strategy in these games. Suri is a star. She makes great TV every time she's out there. She plays hard every time she's out there. And so I don't have an issue with it. I can see why some people might. Like, oh man, like, I feel like I've seen enough of Suri. And she's also, I believe, on the Survivor Australia cast. So that, I think, adds some more to it. She's hit a lot of shows lately. Big Brother, Traitors, now 2 Survivors in a row. Thank you for the 8th month. But for me, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. And if this was, because here's the thing. I think Suri's inclusion in this cast is necessary if it's the cast we want, where it's like representing all eras of Survivor, legends of the show, all of that stuff. Given that that's not quite what we got, I do think that Suri, there's a little bit of a little bit less of a reason to include Suri. If this is going to be like let's do an all-star season of the last 3 seasons, then it's like, okay, maybe Suri doesn't need to be on that cast. But you can't really have a cast of Survivor that is a celebration of of the show without Suri at this point, I think. She's at the very least going to deliver in a way that likely a lot of the other people from these past seasons will not. So, you know, that's what I think. Okay. Next up.
From season 13, the original Jungle Boy, also returning for a fifth
Oh, there we go.
time, Ozzy.
Ozzy. We already talked a little bit about Ozzy. Ozzy, now 43. Wow, still pretty young for how long ago he played. I mean, the thing about Ozzy is that his entire sort of game was winning comps. I mean, it was the same sort of thing with Colby back in the day. Like these physical players who don't have the physicality anymore. I do think there's something interesting about that. I just don't think we've seen it yet on Survivor. And going back to the well with two of those players, you know, Ozzy has never been somebody who's been capable socially or strategically of playing the game. Not in any of his seasons. And so, you know, this is the first one for me that I think is a real head scratcher. Like the fact that we saw him recently in season 34, recently enough, is like I feel like he already had his shot in this in like a modern era. And it was so unmemorable that I did not even remember it. And this is coming from a guy. I was a big Ozzy fan back in the day. I loved watching him dominate the competitions. You know, but I just can't help but feel like for the fifth time coming back, I feel like there are better choices out there. And you know, what more is there to say about Ozzy? All right. Who's next?
From season 18, the one, the only, the Dragon Slayer. Coach.
The Dragon Slayer, Coach. Coach, now 53. Originally played on Tocantins. He came back to play on Heroes versus Villains. Pretty unmemorable appearance there. Then he came back again, only 3 seasons later, to play in South Pacific. This is now his 4th time out. And, you know, yeah, I'm not that mad at it. I think that he is obviously an entertaining character. It's now been a while. What, like 12, 13-ish years since he last played, so that's quite a while. I just don't really know if there's a world where because here's the thing, right? We've seen him 3 times. One of those times he was a new player. It was very entertaining because it was like, who is this guy? He's wild. The second time around, he was on an all-star season and he was useless. Let's be real. What did he do? What did he do in Heroes vs. Villains? He got voted out. He was surrounded by bigger characters that played the game harder, and he got totally drowned out. He did not fit into that cast. Then he came back for South Pacific, and he was a returning player on a cast of newbies for the most part. He manhandled Colby in the one challenge. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But South Pacific, he was a huge character, but I think most returning players on newbie seasons are going to be. And I just don't know that he fits into these kinds of seasons where it's like an all-star season. Who's going to put up with his nonsense on a returning cast like this? I just feel like at best he is a useful pawn to be used in this game. And we, like his antics are not gonna fly. And I don't know. I'm not super hopeful. I'm not mad, not super mad about it. But it's another one where I'm like, were there better options? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Oops, I didn't need to go up this time.
From season 32, a master strategist returning for a fourth time, Aubrey.
A master strategist. That's a bit of a jump. We just went from season 18 to season 32. For Aubrey, this is gonna be Aubrey's fourth go as well, which is wild. Aubrey originally from Ko Wrong, classic kind of like people thought she should have won. She comes back for Game Changers. We're really just like, can I just say this cast feels lazy. It's just all the people that have already been on all-star seasons before, and then a bunch of newbies. And I say this not having too much of an issue with the cast so far. Because here's the thing. I'm an Aubrey fan. I like Aubrey. I've had great conversations with Aubrey. I think she's a really cool person. And I'm happy for her to go and play the game. I think the Survivor fan base has sort of turned on her not for the most part necessarily, but like they didn't love her on Edge of Extinction. And I think there are a lot of people that are kind of feeling like I'm Aubrey fatigued. What more do we have to get from Aubrey? And I think that's fair as somebody that likes Aubrey. Like I feel like I've seen Aubrey on the show. Like I'm happy for her as a person if she wants to play again, for her to play again. But as a fan, yeah, I kind of agree. Like, what more do we have to see from Aubrey? I don't know. I hope we see more. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like there should be plenty of options. And the thing is that like I don't think Aubrey is a problem. I think the problem is that we skipped from 18 to 32 and we're only taking a few people from this era. And so when we're only taking a few people from this era, it's not that Aubrey's the problem. It's the limited slots are a problem. When there's 24 people on your cast, you should be taking Aubrey and more. You know what I mean? If you don't know Aubrey, like I said, she was sort of a surprising front runner of Ko Wrong. She got beat by Michelle. Back in the day when there was quite a war waging amongst the Edgic people, the Michelle truthers versus the Aubrey's obviously going to win people. She's, I think, just a solid player. Just a solid player. Just always going to do well. I think she'll slot into this cast pretty easily. In fact, I think like, they left, right? They're gone. Have they left? I'm gonna need some quick confirmation on that. We think. Listen, who's listening to me right now? If you're on this cast, you're not watching this stream right now, right? Like that would be wild. I think Aubrey, somebody to watch out for to potentially win this season. Because who's looking out for Aubrey? She's very friendly. She's very easy to get along with. Q, that's fair. Q might look out for Aubrey. That's actually so true. And I might need to retract my statement. Oh man. I would be worried a bit about the potential lack of pre-gaming, but the thing is, I think that she fits in pretty easily with both the old schoolers and the new schoolers. I think she is a fairly memorable player, but not one that you're like super scared of. So I think she will probably have options. But you're so right. If Q starts just trashing her name, that could be pretty deadly. Aubrey now 39 as well. All right. Next.
From season 35, she made it to the final 3 the first time she played. Been waiting nearly a decade for this second shot.
Who is this? Chrissy. Chrissy's a good pick. Chrissy's a great pick. 0 notes on Chrissy. She's 54 now. She originally played Heroes versus Healers versus Hustlers, which is, I think, probably the worst titled season of the entirety of the show. A lot of people feel like Chrissy was robbed. You know? Was Chrissy robbed? That's maybe up for debate. You know, I think there are people that say that, you know, like if Ben hadn't gotten in there, it would have just been Devin that would have won. People say, well, she should have had more respect on her game from the jury. But at the end of the day, it played out the way it played out. She's remained engaged with the show. She's, you know, somebody that I think is gonna be fun to watch. Just a solid pick. I wonder where she stands in terms of like connections. But is she likable enough to win a jury? I think so. I think Chrissy's a very likable person, quite frankly. You know, having seen her both on the show, in person, talk to her like in podcasts. I think she's perfectly capable of winning a jury vote. And I think that also like her reputation precedes her at this point as well. Anybody that remembers her from her season, she kind of represents like everything anti-fire making. So I think she gets some cred for that, but not in a way that it would make her a threat. So I'm looking forward to seeing Chrissy play here. Next up.
From season 37, he's stepping out of the robotics lab and back into the jungle. Christian, who
I mean, come on. That's my guy right there. Christian Hubicki. My number one pick to have been on this season. I mean, it's just a slam dunk, right? Um, I forget who else is on this season. I can't imagine having a deeper rooting interest at this point. It's like given that Rob Sesternino is not on this cast, I can't imagine not being all in for Christian. Tilly, thank you for the 34th in a row. I mean, if you guys are watching this stream, you probably watch our Blood on the Clock Tower games occasionally. You've probably seen Christian in podcasts. Knowing Christian myself to the level that I do, at least, he is such an incredibly nice person. He's so friendly. And also so competitive and so passionate about games. And like those three things combined, I think are exactly my kind of person. He just loves analyzing things, thinking through different strategies. He's super easy to get along with. And obviously, I think like the biggest issue he has in a game like Survivor is that he is just too likable. And, I have to imagine that most people would be very worried about bringing him to a final three. Because, like, he has that very sort of dangerous combination of likable and respectable. Like, not only is he somebody that everybody is likely to love, but he's also so smart that if he made it there, you have no reason to be like, I do like him, but you're like, I like him, and you know what I mean? So that's what I would be concerned about with Christian. He probably has I don't know like what sort of where he stands in terms of threat level prior to that. I don't think you'd be super worried about, like, any rational player wouldn't be worried about Christian in the early game. But you don't often get rational players. You often get people who are like, and we have a lot of runners up on this cast too. So there might be a lot of people who are like, man, Christian will win a jury vote. We need to get him out now. And that's could be very dangerous for him. But super excited to see Christian. Number one pick on the board right now. All right, next up.
And from 37, she loves negotiating with me and is still waiting on that jacket from Natalie. Angelina.
She literally got cast because she asked for a jacket. Angelina. She was another slam dunk to be included on this cast, or any returning cast. Really, that's the thing too. Not only is this, because I forgot about this, because I said this is the first returning cast in 5 years since Winners at War. That's not even really true, right? Because it is actually Game Changers, isn't it? Game Changers is the last returning cast to not be Winners at War, where most people were ineligible for it. So it's like 37. What was 38? Who was on 38? Or sorry, not even 30. Where was Game Changers? Game Changers was 34? So it's been since 34. 38 was Edge of Extinction. Okay, Edge of Extinction. No, you're right. You're right. Edge of Extinction I would count as a returning season to some degree. But still, it's there were like these like people like Christian and Angelina are people that were like shoo-ins almost 10 years ago now, and they've had to wait 10 years to even have a chance to come back. You know? So obviously Angelina's a great pick. It's just like this should have happened sooner. None of the Edge of Extinction returnees were from post Game Changers. Okay, so the point stands for sure. Then even Edge of Extinction didn't represent those seasons. So, but yes, Angelina now 35. Just a firecracker. Just was very entertaining on the show. I honestly have no idea what to expect from her on a returning season. Having it's now been 7-ish years. I don't even think I've seen her outside of White Lotus in the last 7 years. I met her. I think I met her in Reno, like on her Buddha episode or something along those lines. Maybe. Or no, it might have been right after. Anyway, she was nice. And I'm excited to see her play. But I really don't know what to expect. I really have no idea. All right.
And from 37, in between writing and directing seasons of White Lotus, Mike White is back.
Mike White is back. Listen. This is the one I'd seen rumors. I wasn't sure if it was true. This is the one I've already seen for sure. And like I said, like none of these are surprising me because I've seen most of them already. Most of them hadn't been confirmed. Obviously, I think Mike White is like on the cover of this, so it's like, oh yeah, clearly Mike White is playing. I've seen a lot of complaints about Mike White's inclusion, and I think those complaints are totally valid. However, unfortunately, there's no world where I can complain about this because it's such a slam dunk for Survivor production. If Mike White wants to play again, there's no world where you can tell him no, given the success of White Lotus. White Lotus is a cultural phenomenon. And a respected TV show. And when Mike White was on the cast last time, he was famous. People knew him as what was it? Mr. Squeebly or something from School of Rock. And unfortunately for Rob Sesternino, they also knew him from the Emoji Movie. Obviously he made Enlightened, but Enlightened was like it was not White Lotus. Schneebly, thank you. And that level of fame certainly influenced that season to some degree. Since then, Mike White has become way more famous, and way more relevant to pop culture. He has won Emmys. He has, in his speeches, talked about how he played Survivor at like the Golden Globes and Emmys or whatever. And White Lotus is also like very Survivor coded. So, you know, like it's just obvious. Is if he wants to play, if you can get him to play, you put him in here. You do. I will say, I think that Mike White is the focal point of this season. And the point stands as well. It's not stunt casting. He likes Survivor. He played hard. He played well. But I have to imagine that his level of fame will influence this game significantly. Because here's the thing, right? Let me just let's get serious for a second. You know me, right? I love games. I want to win. You know, I'm out there trying to make good TV if I'm on one of these shows. I'm out there playing Blood on the Clock Tower, trying to be entertaining. If I was on a cast with Mike White, and I was on a tribe with Mike White, and I had a choice between voting out Mike White or anybody else. I'm going Mike White, buddy. I got you. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't I? Like, don't forget the cue of it all. It's just, I feel like there's a layer of protection. And it's not even, it's not about like getting a cameo necessarily, right? Because like, who cares about a cameo? It's like, it's just a lot of these people, this, you know, in the modern era of reality television, especially in the era of the traders, this is becoming more and more viable as a genuine career. You know, keeping Mike White around helps you because you now are making a connection to Mike White, and it helps you because you are helping production keep Mike White on the show. You're pleasing two people with one move. Now, listen, am I going to sacrifice my game for Mike White? No. No shot. What I'm saying is that, like, if there's a choice, you know what I mean? So I expect Mike White to be around for a while, is what I'm saying. And the other thing that people have talked about is like, well, obviously Mike White's not going to win the game. Mike White's not going to win the game. Nobody would vote for Mike White in the jury, right? To which I would say, if I'm on the jury, wins. If I can get something out of a jury vote, that's a win for me. Normally, I would say, I want to make a good season. I want people to like my season. But I've already played in this situation. I'm already somebody that people like from a season that is good. If people trash this season because Mike White won, it was a walkthrough. Sorry. And you know me. Almost any other scenario, that's not what I'm saying. This is a little different. Oh boy. All right. That's the Mike White of it all. He is currently 54, by the way.
From season 38, Survivor's favorite newscaster, Rick Devens.
Rick Devens. I think this is another one that some people are mad about. I'm not mad at Rick Devens. I'm not mad at Rick Devens. Why be mad at Rick Devens? Was I a fan of Rick Devens? I wasn't. I didn't enjoy that season very much. I didn't enjoy the Rick Devens show. But I get it. He's entertaining. He's fun on the show. And on a returning season where, you know, it is at least, I think, hopefully less likely to be the Rick Devens show. I think he could actually be a very fun character. I have no problem with him personally. So yeah, I think Rick Devens is a perfectly fine, honestly, a more than perfectly fine choice. I think that Rick Devens is a good choice. It's again, like in the context of everything else, there's maybe some reasons to question it, but I don't have a problem. I think Rick Devens is somebody that should be brought back at some point. And if this is the point, this is the point. Basically, if you didn't know Rick Devens, he is now 41, by the way. He returned to the game in Edge of Extinction post-merge and went on a bit of a run where he was like finding idols and just like winning immunities and playing hard and narrating the season. And they basically used him as the ultimate red herring for Chris to come in and sweep the win away from him at the last second. And the most super fans were pretty frustrated by this, myself included, quite frankly. But I think he does remain popular with the casuals. So yeah, listen. I'm not mad at it. Not mad about it.
From season 42, one of the most physically intimidating challenge
42.
performers we've ever seen,
Oh.
Jonathan.
Yeah. I'd be more okay with Jonathan if we didn't also have like Ozzy and Colby. Because they're all basically the same person. Jonathan, he's 32. He's gonna do challenges. He's gonna do challenges. That's fine. I'm not surprised by Jonathan. I'm not excited for Jonathan, but it's fine. I honestly think it's fine. Um, it's just like not exciting, you know. Uh, he's we're just gonna get more epic slow mo shots of him literally carrying his tribe on his back, and you know all that. It's again, yeah. I'm hearing only person from 41 to 44. That's wild. Jonathan being the only person from that section of seasons, that's wild. That makes it a wild choice. Jonathan on his own, fine. Jonathan, but not Shan, Jesse, Cody, Ricard, like all of these other people, Marianne, Omer, that's wild. That's wild. So, in context, I don't like that choice. But judging Jonathan as a player by himself, fine. He's, he's like a statue, All right.
From season 45, one of the overall most dominating players of the new era, the winner of 45, D.
D. I'm not mad at D. Here's the thing. I think D should come back. Should D come back for this season? If this was Legends, right? If this was represent all the eras, Legends season, obviously you include D. If this is sprinkle in some people from the past and then let's load it up with some new people, I don't think D needs to be there. I think D deserves a better cast. Quite frankly. It's like we're trying to have our cake and eat it too, and I feel like the mixture, the going halfway in both directions is not working. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I can't be like mad about it. I think D should return at some point. It just starts to feel strange. Is D the first winner of the cast as well? Jonathan, Rick, Mike, Angelina, Christian, Chrissy, Aubrey, Coach, Ozzy, Sari, Stephanie, Colby, Jenna. Yeah, first winner of the cast. In the cast. It just feels out of place to me. I don't know. Jeff loves his on fire hosts. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I agree with Jeff. I think she is one of the more dominant winners of the new era. And for that reason, she does represent the new era well in that sense. But again, it just doesn't feel like it meshes with the rest. And I think we're about to head into the back half of this cast, which feels like such a departure from what we've gotten so far. And I think that's part of the disconnect that's happening. So that's happening right now. So, then the question is like, how does D do here? And quite frankly, I'm not sure. I think that she stands out as a winner. She stands out as a winner that duped people. And you know, I'm sure other winners, because I'm pretty sure Kyle's on this cast. I think other winners like Kyle would want to play with her, at least for a bit. But like, is that enough? I don't know. I guess we'll see who else is on the cast who might want to work with her. But like, I'd be a little wary about her chances here as well. But you know, I say that it's a 24-person cast. There's all kinds of different ways that this could play out. So I don't think she's like dead in the water or anything. With the right tribe makeup, she could be in a pretty good place. Next.
Also from 45, she went from being abrasive to being embraced by tribe mates and fans. Emily.
Yes. Emily. Did he say her name?
Also from 45, she went from being abrasive to being embraced by tribe mates and fans. Emily.
Emily. He did say. I don't know why I didn't hear him say that before. Emily. Literally just played Blood on the Clock Tower with her. I don't know what she was doing playing Blood on the Clock Tower with us days before she's about to leave for Survivor 50. If you're watching this as a YouTube video, you can literally go back to the last live stream I did. She's in it. And I interacted with her quite a bit. So I lied to her face, she lied to mine. It was a whole thing. She is 30. She's was very fun to watch on her season. And she had this like weird arc where they like portrayed her like this like social outcast who then sort of like found her footing. Having interacted with her playing Blood on the Clock Tower, seeing her in podcasts, I don't really know where the social outcast thing came from. I don't remember the specifics of why she seemed so like outcast in the beginning. But she's like a perfectly like social person. Like I think that yeah, maybe she like is, yeah, I guess I would say that like she's pretty happy to just like, yeah, be blunt. But not in a way that is like disrespectful or I would say abrasive. I don't think she's abrasive. But maybe if you are like somebody who maybe has like a fragile sense of ego. Who knows? I'm very excited to see Emily play. We'll see how she does, how she plays. You know, I can't imagine it will be that different. At least in terms of what we saw from her later on. I'm curious to know what kind of threat level she has in the game. Yeah, First Officer Blunt. I would assume she works with Christian if she has the chance. Given that they've, you know, played games together in the past. But listen, I'm not the person to come to for like who's got what connections. I'm sure all these people have all kinds of connections that may or may not be on camera for streams or podcasts. But yeah, I'm super excited to watch Emily play, and I will very much be rooting for her here. All right.
From 46, one of the most electric.
Hold on. Can we just say also? Can we mention that there is at least a small chance that Blood on the Clock Tower streams will be mentioned on Survivor 50? Right? There's at least a small chance that somebody's going to be like, well, I know that Christian and Emily play Blood on the Clock Tower together. They're not going to say Blood on the Clock Tower. They're going to say, I know that Emily and Christian do streams together on Twitch or something. Or they'll probably say they stream online together or something. And then maybe they'll show a little clip. But no, it's not going to happen. Anyway.
And chaotic players the game has ever seen. He's not a one-name player. He's a one-letter player. Q.
Q. Obviously, Q's coming here. Obviously, this was a slam dunk, regardless of what cast it was going to be. Q's coming back. I've already said so much about Q that I really don't need to reiterate it at this point. But he plays hard. He's massively entertaining. He's everything that you'd want in a Survivor player, everything that you'd want in a returning player. He's going to come in here. He's going to play hard. He's probably going to crash and burn, but maybe he doesn't. Who knows? It's going to be fun regardless. So really not much more to say about Q. No complaints. This Q is an obvious choice.
And from 46, at times she played with Q, and at times she wanted to pull her hair out because of Q.
Hold on. Sorry. Quick update. I'm older than Q. We just have a moment of silence for this. Q is 31. Okay. Back to Tiffany.
Tiffany.
I searched for Tiffany and it brings up Q. Come on. Tiffany. I have no issue with Tiffany as a returner. It's just like, does Tiffany fit into this cast? Would she have fit into a... we're mixing two different kinds of returning casts. One is like your normal, every 4 seasons we do returnees. Let's get all the big names from the last few seasons. In that cast, Tiff is a great addition. Another is, let's do a cast with Colby and Ozzy and Suri and Jenna and all of these people. And in that cast, it's like, is Tiffany the right call here? She could be. I think she still fits into that cast. She's just one of, I think, a bunch of potential picks that are like, well, we're getting a lot of these players that are like, showed promise, entertaining, perfectly fine as a returning player. But how many of them in this short, brief section of seasons are we going to get? Tiffany, definitely somebody I would look out for as a winner candidate. Yeah, for sure. I think she's going to have a low threat level compared to most players out there. She's very capable. And unfortunately for her, she's coming in with Q, though. All right.
36, it was a cruel summer when he lost in the final three. The question is, can he shake it off before Survivor 50? Charlie.
Charlie. Charlie Davis. 27 years old. This is another one. It's like there are two ways to look at it. One way is without context. Without context, yeah. Charlie should return. He had a memorable loss. He was good on the show. I'm not mad at Charlie coming back. The other way to look at it is with context. Is this the place, given everyone we don't have? Is Charlie the right choice? In a world where, you know, we have like 5 people to span the first 40 seasons. It's more than that. Do we need Charlie? Do we need Tiffany? Do we need so many of the people? And honestly, I would take Tiffany over Charlie right here. But I could go either way. I think this is when you really start to question, like, we're running out of spots, and there's a lot of people that I'd rather see that fit the same kind of story arc that Charlie had, like Jesse. I think Jesse is, a lot of people are saying like Charlie over Rob Sesternino, and it's like, sure, but I don't think they fit the same spot. But Jesse is kind of the same story arc at the very least. They're not the same archetype necessarily, but like, I like Charlie. I do. I think he should return. But this is when we really start to feel like, where are these choices coming from, and who have we cut to make these happen? So again, the thing is, I like Charlie, and I think that he should return, like I said. And I think it's probably a good thing that these people all left. Because I wouldn't want them to feel like, like people hate Charlie and they don't want Charlie. Because I don't really think that's the case. I think that, like, if you are anti-Charlie here, 80% of that is just positioning in context of the cast. And I think it's entirely fair criticism. But I think that most of it is not directed specifically at Charlie. It's more so just what he is representing at this point in the cast reveal. You know what I mean? Yeah, the people that got missed. And something else that I've been seeing is like the demographics of the cast as well, where like, they're not quite hitting where they were supposed to be hitting, and that also is a bit sketchy. They did not hit, according to what I have seen, they did not hit the 50% BIPOC quota or pledge. Which, yes, so this is a thing. It hasn't been talked about a lot, but they did quietly retract the pledge around when Trump got elected. So you know. That doesn't mean they won't hit it in seasons, but very clearly, like, it is not as much of a priority. So, you know, my hope is that, you know, come Big Brother 27, we we don't have to talk about this, because I can't imagine them, you know, wanting to make a big deal out of it, but we'll see. Anyway, next.
From season 47, she started the game playing with no emotion, then realized emotion was the key to her game.
Genevieve. There's something intangible about this, but Genevieve does feel like she fits. Am I wrong? I feel like I've seen this sentiment too. I feel it instinctually that, like, yes, Genevieve makes sense. And I feel like most people I've seen seem to agree. Certainly, you could look at, again, you could look at the cast and you could say there are all kinds of other people that maybe should have been chosen here. But, like, it just kind of makes sense. She seems like the kind of player that would be chosen in this spot in both kinds of seasons. I think this is the key. I think that in a season where this is in every 4 seasons returnee season, she's a pick for that. And she's also the kind of player that would have been slotted into a bigger season, like a Kelly Wentworth. You know what I mean? So I think this works. She's 33. And she was very fun to watch. I think I've told this story, but I did meet her in New York last year. And we had words, you know. Somebody ratted me out. Somebody, I don't know who. Somebody let her know that I like to maybe try to position, you know, in a strategic spot for flights. And she was like, listen, I've heard you stand up for flights. I've heard you go and you line up early. And I said, that is not what I said. That is not what I said. I don't line up early. I strategically position myself so that I am poised to potentially be at the front of my section. That is all I do. Okay? She was super fun to talk to. And she's, the thing about Genevieve, very charismatic. She's just like I just enjoyed talking to her. She really draws you in. Her sister's super nice too. I'm pumped to watch Genevieve. Definitely one of my rooting interests here. All right, next.
From 48, she came into the game with a lot of self-doubt and emerged an assassin. Camilla.
I have no problem with Camilla. I don't. I think that there are a few reasons to not want Camilla on the cast, and none of them have anything to do with Camilla herself. I think that of the 48 cast, she is the one and only justifiable pick for this cast. At least I think. I don't know. My understand. I think it's her, Joe, and Kyle. Is Say on the cast? I'll find out. Don't tell me. But I think she makes sense. I do think she makes sense. She was part of a very sort of winning game, got sniped at the end, and was like a compelling character, and has the recency thing. I think it makes sense to put her here. I still wouldn't necessarily be my first choice, primarily because season 48 just kind of sucked. And you know, did I need anybody from season 48? Not necessarily. But if I was gonna get one, Camilla's the choice. And I think that it makes a lot of sense. However, here's the problem.
From 48, he's cunning, athletic, and charming. The winner of 48, Kyle.
Camilla and Kyle is a problem to me. Because I like them both. But I very, very much want to see them both play individually. It's frustrating to me that I am not going to be able to see, theoretically, Camilla play on her own or Kyle play on a season that he deserves, which is a Legends All-Star, more winners on the cast kind of season. And for them to both be on this cast together is just, it's disappointing on that level. It's disappointing in the sense that I literally just watched this show this season, and I really am not looking forward to watching it again. Like, best case scenario for them is that they just do the same thing, which is going to not be fun, I think. Especially because it wasn't fun the first time, because the editors did not know how to edit it, I think. This just feels rough to me. I think that you take out Kyle, you take out D, you put them on a proper Legends season, the cast feels better. You don't even have to replace them. The cast feels better to me. 0 winners, lots of people who've tried a bunch of times, lots of people who might have some potential. I think that feels better to me. Would I also like Joe to be off the cast? Yes. But I really feel like let's just surgically remove Kyle and D. Let's plop them on season 53. Like Legends of the New Era, where with Jesse and Omer and Shan and Ricard and Carolyn and Jam Jam and like Marianne, and like that's where they fit, I think. I mean, what more is there to say about Kyle? We literally just watched him play. We literally saw Kyle's, I think, best case scenario. And it wasn't it. This is my thing about, because I don't think I've talked much about season 48 since the finale. But I feel like since the finale, we have heard more about the season and the way that it was actually played out. And quite frankly, the point that like Joe was never really that much of a winning contender. That it was always like Shaheen was right. Shaheen beats Joe. Kyle beats Joe. Camilla beats Joe. Mitch beats Joe. Like, Joe was just getting trounced. He was getting wrecked in that final tribal, no matter what, basically. So, what was that edit? You know what I mean? Like, why did we edit the entire season on basically a falsehood? Because we not only edited the season to make it seem like Joe was the default winner if he makes it to the end, but we also edited the season to justify that thought process. Consistently throughout the season, Joe was shown to be correct about more things than anybody else. He was right when Shaheen was wrong. He was right when Kyle was wrong. He gets a couple of key things wrong, especially toward the end, and we're meant to sort of look at that as like his fall from grace, theoretically. But he's also like the person making all of the decisions, the final call on so many of those decisions. And it just is a wild way to edit that season, in my opinion. I think that Kyle played a really cool game, and the kind of game that I would be really fun. I would be really like entertained by watching. Like me particularly, I love the idea of somebody going in having like a secret alliance, using a secret relationship to benefit their game, using a meat shield in a guy that claims honor and integrity. I mourn for my own experience watching Kyle's game because I think it was a really cool game, and I don't feel like I got to watch it in the way that that like helped sort of do it justice. Another part of it too is that apparently like him and Camilla, they weren't even that tight. They were like a strategic connection, more so like he was tighter with Joe. That was the truth. But like that's not really how they showed it to us. They showed it in a different way, in my opinion, and it just was frustrating. And so it's like, if that's Kyle playing really well, do they even know how to edit Kyle? You know? And if we're including both Camilla and Joe on this cast, clearly production seemed to like the result of what they got. Are they just, we're just gonna do the same thing? And obviously it's not gonna be the same thing because it's not gonna play out the same way, or at least you'd hope. But like, I think that's where like a lot of frustration for me is coming from. I hope things go well. But this is definitely like a source of this is a sore spot for me. All right. Then,
also from 48, he played one of the most emotional and loyal games of any player ever while physically dominating in challenges. Joe is back.
I'm sorry, what? Did he just call Joe one of the most loyal players ever? We're talking about the guy that betrayed most of his alliance on false information? I like Joe. This is my thing. I do. I liked his relationship with Eva. I think he was a little bit insufferable at times, but that's fine. People can be insufferable. The biggest issue with Joe was the way that they edited it. They edited him. I mean, does he come back and change things up and not talk about honor and integrity? I don't know. I haven't really heard much from him. I haven't looked into his interviews post-season much, but like, he doesn't really strike me as the kind of person that's going to do that. He strikes me as the kind of person that's like, oh, I was a fan favorite for how honest and loyal I was, then I'm just gonna be that person again, right? Like, he said he would be aggressive with Rob. Okay, okay. Um, it just it just feels too soon, to be honest. It just feels too soon to put this trio back on a cast. They're not in order. Um, that's how I feel. Especially again, it just comes back to this like, I just don't think this trio fits. I don't think the trio fits on any cast, quite frankly. But specifically, I think that like the three of them don't fit into very well into whatever this season is of this like half and half thing they have going on. Jenny, I think the 10th month in a row. Um, all right. And then I think there's two more.
And from season 49,
Oh, question mark.
2 players from a season you haven't seen that won't premiere until the fall. Those players will remain a mystery for now. There you have it, the record-setting 24 players who will be appearing in Survivor 50 in the hands of the fans.
All right. Do we have them here? Doesn't look like it. Let me try and find him, I guess. Hmm. I guess it doesn't matter. I can't find the photos. I could have sworn I saw some photos somewhere because I saw these two people and I was like, who are they? But it's yeah, it's like the oh, here we go. We got a link. Thank you. Oops, that's not it. These two. Rizzo and Savannah, age 25 and 31. And he's the guy that called himself the Riz God in the preview. And then did Savannah say anything? She wasn't in the promo. um she was shown in the promo. I mean, obviously not much to say about them. I have no idea what they're gonna be like. I think listen, I can't complain about them because I don't know what they're like. You know? Um, they're going to go first in the draft now. I mean, it's a good question. Are one of them likely to be the winner? I feel like I doubt it, to be honest. Okay, so does anybody know who I had in the Survivor 50 draft of like who's going to be cast? I know I had Christian, and I also picked Asia. Those are the two I remember. I picked Jam, Dominic, Ricard, and Desi. Damn. Pretty fire cast though, right? They picked those people. So I think the other thing to talk about is the snubs. First and foremost, of course, and I'm not even saying this because of my connection to him. I'm saying this because this is like the person I think that people have been complaining about missing the most, from what I've seen, is Rob Sesternina. I've seen so many complaints. Why was Rob cut from this cast? Um, which I think is funny because I think that probably a lot of people who have been following the rumors probably got more excited than I ever was. Because I really just assumed like it's probably not happening. um, and I think other people were sort of like more hopeful. The list of people who got called. But I mean, it's pretty clear basically that he was in the mix, and they decided to not go with him, which does feel like a wild call to me. Like, he's not only an iconic player from the history of the show, he's certainly not somebody that I think most people will remember. But like, I guess that's the thing, right? If you look at the people they chose from any season below season 30, it's all people that you might remember. You might remember, I mean, Jenna Lewis, anybody from Borneo gets an automatic pass, I think. But Jenna Lewis in particular, I think was a bit memorable from that season. Then you have Colby, Stephanie, Suri, Ozzy, Coach. Like, all of those names. Anybody that's ever seen Survivor knows all of those names. For the most part. Rob Sesternino? I think a lot of people wouldn't know that name. And I think that's fair. But the thing about Rob Sesternino is, unlike a lot of these people, maybe Suri excluded, Rob is at least like a viable player and will also for sure bring it when it comes to entertainment. So he's not just a name. He's also like an actual cast member. You know what I mean? And I think at best, a lot of these people, like say a Colby and an Ozzy, they are like flip a coin to see if they're an actual cast member. Um, I feel like they've been teasing the Greg Buis return like every single time that there's a returning season, and it never happens. Uh, I'd like to see it someday, but you know. Um, here's the thing. I really wasn't following a lot of this stuff, so I don't know who's like was an actual shot. Me, I think of the 65th tier 2. Appreciate that. Jonathan Penner, I know, got cut. That's kind of a wild call to me, but you know, he does slot into like the name recognition, you know, kind of position. Um, Obviously would love to see Steven. Malcolm. I mean, I'd like to see Malcolm back. I wouldn't have been like, I'm not like mad that we're not seeing him. Uh, Dominic is weird to me. I really think Dominic should be back. Would have loved to see Gabby, but we are getting Christian, so I get it. Like I'm not like they have to have both. Davey, I think, is somebody that should be returning at some point. I do. And then we get into the new era, and it's like Shan, yes. Omer, obviously. Marianne, obviously. Jesse, come on. Carolyn, what are we doing? Andy would have been cool. Sam would have been, I'd been fine with. Carolyn being cut because of the traders would be wild to me because she got so much more famous from the traders. Like if they cared about the performance of this season, they would include Carolyn because there's a massive traders audience right now and she's from one of the most recent ones and she'd bring in a huge audience. I mean, Suri was obviously on the traders, but that was a while ago and quite frankly, the audience has built since has grown since season 1. Carolyn is a bigger name in the traders community, I think, right now for casuals than Suri is. Certainly more than Stephanie is. Just some weird calls. I also missed Jerry Manthe. A lot of people upset that she's not coming back. Unlike most of these other big names that we saw, she actually had a good arc in Heroes versus Villains. Actually kind of came close to winning that season. She wasn't the most entertaining character that season, I would say. But she, I think, has like an actual, like she can actually bring something to a season in a way that people like Colby and Ozzy have not proven in their last attempts. But yeah, just some weird choices. Um, it's not something that has me like excited for the season. Um, even the big names like Suri, I am happy to see Suri play again, but I'm not like it's not like when Suri played Game Changers, you know? Like I have seen plenty of Suri, so I'm excited to watch her play, but I'm not like I have to watch her play. Um I've got some friends on the cast, so I'm excited to watch them. But otherwise, it just feels weird. It just feels weird. It feels like this is just a strange spot for this. Um, I really feel like Survivor 48 was one of the worst seasons that the show has put out in a while, and dumping this cast reveal that felt so heavy on that season even just feels a little strange. Um, and I think the 22nd month. And yeah, with so many people, like, yeah, if you know, in the world where like the couple of people that I'm super excited to watch get voted out early, like this is gonna be rough. um, but hey, you know, you never know. It could play out well. We'll have to wait and see. There's a chance they don't do fire, which would be great. But um I think the thesis statement I will say as we wrap this up is that, and I've said it a bunch of times already, but I think like the overarching thing here is that the season feels strange because it's trying to do too many things at once. And it doesn't seem to be doing any of those things well, because there are two different casts on Survivor 50. There is the Legends Season 50 Celebration Represent All Eras of the Show cast that include Colby and Suri and Jenna. And on that cast, you have Rob Sesternino, and you have Jerry, and you have, you know, more people from the 20s, and you have maybe even some more winners here or there. You can include D, and you have I think Jesse, and you have Kyle, and you have all of these people. I think that cast exists somewhere on paper, and that's a great cast. Then you have the like, let's round up the big names from the most recent seasons with some occasional additions here and there. And on that cast, you have Jonathan and Charlie and Camilla and Tiffany and and maybe Genevieve, or maybe again Genevieve I think weirdly could fit in both, but you have maybe on that one you have Omer, and you even on that one you could have like Christian and Mike White and Angelina, and on that cast you have Dominic, maybe, and you have Q and Emily, and Rick Devins, and all of these people, right? um that cast on paper also great. That's a great cast. But it seems to me like they took these two different casts, these two different ideas, and they said, can we just make them both work at the same time? And so we have, instead of like a normal 18 to 20 person cast, we have a 24 person cast where they've made some dramatic cuts. And it just doesn't vibe well, I think. I think that we should have two different seasons with these two different casts. That's what I think. And I think that's why so many people are disappointed, because whether you wanted the cast of like the New Era Roundup or you wanted the cast of 50 seasons of Survivor Let's Celebrate with Legends, you're disappointed because you didn't get a good cast from either one of those ideas. Instead, you got some sort of weird amalgamation of something in the middle. And, you know, there are still some people there that you're like, yeah, I'm excited to see that person. But it just doesn't feel like a good, cohesive, put together cast. Gone are the days of heroes versus villains where it's like, that's a cast. Even when you have the occasional like weird inclusion, it's like, that's a cast. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts right now. It could turn out well. I hope it turns out well. But it has not helped my feeling about Survivor at the moment, which is a little bit of despair. Which I shouldn't be feeling, because I do think that last season was good. I think 47 was a good season. But I think they're just kind of 1-2 punching me with 48 plus this cast. So it kind of puts a lot of weight on 49, to be honest. That like, I hope 49 is good. Because if 49 is bad and then 50 is a disappointment, like, that's a real bad stretch of Survivor right there. Because the thing is that, like, while 47 was good, it was kind of like the only universally appreciated season in like a sea of ups and downs. So we'll see. We'll see. Those are my thoughts on Survivor. This was a much longer stream than I anticipated, but I guess I had a lot of thoughts. Here's what you should do if you're watching. Check out the Blood on the Clock Tower stream if you would like, that I did a couple days ago. I played with Emily and had some fun. I will be recording about the Genius UK. I think that drops today at some point, so I'll try to do that. I'll put that up on YouTube. They are demonetized, though, so if you like those videos, please head over to Patreon, where you can support the creation of them, because they are demonetized on YouTube. And then, in addition to that, over on Patreon, you can see me react to The Devil's Plan as well, which is a much more fun show to react to, and a lot more complicated and a lot more interesting. So you can check those out over on the Patreon. I have episode 7 recorded. I need to edit it. I think I can get that done today. So you can look forward to that if you are already in the Patreon. And in addition to that, tomorrow, the Big Brother 22 retrospective is happening. This coming weekend, I believe we are doing the official Survivor 50 draft, now that we know the cast. So you can check that out. Tons of stuff going on. Thank you for hanging out over here. If you enjoyed this, and I will see all of you next time.